Gives them 6 more tackles, and here is Morgan intercepted by Valentine Holmes. Lachlan Coote coming across. Asiata is also there. He turned Coote inside out. Holmes will go 90 metres and scores for the Sharks.
That is Boldo's tears. Chris Kelly, who would you move?
Where do we start? I'm glad Boldo didn't grow up in Egypt times, because that's a terrible-looking pyramid. It would have fallen over and collapsed by now. And given that he just Googled the squad and put Matt Ikavalu in the bottom, and he hasn't been there since half of last year, a pyramid would have fallen.
He's still on the page.
The pyramid would have fallen over. You would have been missing a foundation piece, and it's fallen over.
In amongst all of that, Lats had an awesome story about how awesome this Finau guy was, and then Boldo concludes it with like, yeah, Finucane, how good is he? And everyone's like,
I don't even know who Finau is. I just assumed that Finau was the same guy as Finucane. Is that a different person? I didn't know that. Who the hell's Finau?
Wow.
This is how flawed the tears are. He doesn't even know half the team.
Boldo.
This is where the tears bit comes into it.
I'm listening to the card going, did my stream just like skip 30 seconds or something? Like, no, it was just Boldo just playing along. But anyway.
Maloney is still intercept. Away goes James Maloney. They're kicking him home, the Sharks fans. Maloney is there.
Speaking of Ashley Madison, I thought I was playing a funny trick on a mate of mine when I signed him up to Ashley Madison, right? And so I signed him up, and then what happened was I put his email address in and everything, and he didn't understand why he was getting all these email messages. And then there was the data security breach thing, right? So then his email address was in the data security thing, right? And he didn't know that anyone's been stitched up, but I knew that his email address was in it because I went and checked. And so then I rang this guy every single day for 6 months just to check if his wife at the time had found out that his name was in the Ashley Madison list. I was just relentlessly checking every single day, and after like 3 weeks, like, dude, why are you ringing me every day? 6
That's
months.
horrific, Boldo.
You want to know something funny? It actually was Chris Kelly.
And it's away. Here they are. Pryor, can he get it there? Yes, he can. Matt Pryor, an unlikely first try scorer for the Sharks.
Interesting enough that the North Bears are getting that desperate. They're talking about having a Pacific Bears team so they can sort of engulf those Pacific nations and sort of get that ball rolling, where they think they can sort of, take on the Cook Islands and the Samoans and the Tongas and sort of make it their team. So PNG's to go for me.
I'm pretty convinced after that. All right, Franco, what do you got?
Mate, can I rebuttal that, or am I giving a different answer?
We don't have enough arguments on this podcast. Come on,
you're going to throw out cans, and they're going to play out of cans.
Ever. That is the dumbest idea ever. I know there's this sense of rose-coloured glasses of the fact that there's this third world nation that has rugby league as their national sport. The fact that it's got 2 times the amount of people as New Zealand doesn't matter. Half of them don't have a TV. Dumb idea.
That's what you do. On my understanding.
Townsend now calling the shots with Johnson off. They will go. Gallen field goal. Paul Gallen field goal. That is amazing. That is ridiculous. Away. It's back to Smith. Smith gets it away to Cronk. Cronk's got Korobetti with it. Have they got a chance here? Korobetti's put down. The siren sounds. Cronulla have won it. Cronulla have won it. 14 to 12. You can turn the light out now.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated, more often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.
Welcome to the ET Stand, the Cronulla Sharks Fans Podcast. This is our first episode for 2025. It's not quite our official season launch episode yet. That will be on the night of the Hall of Fame, and we'll have the full panel broadcasting live from in the ET Stand at the Hall of Fame event. We're going to have a lot happening at that night, including, I think we're going to get Frank on the red carpet. We're going to have a whole bunch of special guests coming in as well. But in the meantime, the Cronulla Sharks face the New Zealand Warriors at Shark Park and a trial match, which we will be previewing coming up. If you are new to the channel and you have not seen the ET Stand podcast before, we are live every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. And we're also live with a show we like to call the debrief after full time of every Sharks match. This week, we're trialing Franco on his own for the debrief. So do watch that one and get your comments in. There is no one better placed in the world of Cronulla Sharks Rugby League to give an assessment on up-and-coming players for the Cronulla Sharks. So do get involved and watch out for that one. If you want to chat to us, we are on Discord. So you can go and do that. That can be that. The Discord channel can be found there. We'll also put that in the links. We are just a bunch of Sharks fans. So I'm going to get the boys in a second who are joining me. We sit in the ET Stand every single week, and we just get together to talk about rugby league and the NRL club that we love. We don't claim to have all the answers. We're frequently wrong. Well, they are. I'm typically right. But we aim to have a lot of fun whilst we're doing it and share the love of being Cronulla Sharks fans all at the same time. In 2024, we had a stellar YouTube year, and also on the audio podcast, we had a whole bunch of different benchmarks and things in YouTube, which gives us super chats and all sorts of stuff. So we're going to have fun exploring that together. And we're also working on a few other things too coming up in terms of tipping comps and that fun stuff. And you can even sponsor the channel, so do get involved with us. But let's get into it. So the panel tonight, not yet a full panel. Let's bring the fellas in. So first up, man of the people, we have got Scott Latino Heat. Hello, mate.
Hello, mate. How are you, mate?
Mate,
Might
good.
just shift this way a bit.
Shifting. And so foolishly, I'm not sure if this is the greatest plan that I've ever had, which is having an episode with just Lats and Kelly. Goodness me, the two least serious of the characters. Chris, how you doing, buddy?
Good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, good. Are you one NFL match to go? Which
One to go.
signals the NRL season is coming.
Yeah, hold on, folks. The big Super Bowl that no one wanted to see this season, and straight into rugby league.
We might even talk about we'll talk about the Super Bowl at the end of the episode and we'll touch on that. All right, so look, this episode, it's a slightly abridged version of what we normally go on it. So Lats has got his look back at key news and updates on all things Cronulla Sharks. So if you have not seen anything remotely related to rugby league for 6 or 8 weeks, this segment's for you, because Lats is going to talk through every single thing that's happened. It's going to take 48 minutes. It's going to be the entire show. Lats.
Mate, yeah, it probably will. It's going to be a little bit quicker than Franco's 4-hour debrief. But, yeah, mate, yeah, I've got a fair bit of content there to get through.
All right, well, we look forward to going through that one, and you'll no doubt have a commentary on the Hall of Fame because you didn't get your predictions in, so we'll no doubt touch on those. We're going to preview the trial match this Friday, key ins and outs, what to look out for, which players to talk through, and then Kelly's going to take us around the league for an off-season update on all the things that are happening in all the clubs that we love to hate, but kind of have a soft spot for one or two of them, just depending who you are. And then, yeah, at the end of that, we'll talk about whatever else comes up, and we'll also talk Super Bowl. We've got a few people in the comments have come through. Williams 2.0, regular legend. We love 2.0. Welcome back, lads. Smells like footy season. 2.0 is the king of using the dial-in option and getting involved in the show. We love that, man. Then we've also got Harley's come through saying footy is back. Good to see Harley, the champion of the ET Stand trivia. Not trivia. Tipping comp. By tipping the Sharks every week. He won. Yeah, well done.
It was.
Just not posted.
And then Sports Music God, which I'm pretty sure I know who that is. Are you going to do a throwback this week? I don't think we are doing a throwback this week.
The Williams?
Not yet. Yeah,
The Chronicles?
not doing Chronicles. Not doing one of those yet. But yeah, the classic Chronicles. We've got some stuff coming on the Chronicles actually, so we've got access to a bit more footage and some fun stuff. So we're working on how we can get that released as well. So some certainly fun stuff coming up. If there's anything you want to see on this damn show, do let us know. Give it in the comments. Write to me. Contact us. We always love hearing from anyone who's got a better idea on how to run this show, because we don't really know what we're doing, do we, Chris?
We're still working it out tonight.
Well, yeah, Joel's work actually. So let's get to that. All right, let's get to it. Let me just jump this thing to the front. I've got to actually tell it to go back to slide 1 because I was looking at your socials before. We go add to stage. We go like that. And, well, for starters, look at that lovely.
The Tiger King.
For the audio listeners that catch this one on delay, there's a slide up that shows Scott Latino in various positions throughout the years. Most notably dressed up as Richie Beno. And there's the one.
They're not my best ones.
The one on the left, you're actually kissing Chris Kelly, and it's actually in his one coming out. So,
yeah.
All right, without further ado, this is the segment. If you are a Sharks fan and you have missed out on your rugby league in the off season, this is the segment that is going to get you up to speed. Let's hit through it. Scott Latino, take us away.
Alrighty, the recruitment teams have been extremely busy over the off-season, extending and locking in key players for the seasons to come. Kicking off with Braden Trindle signing on for a further 3 years. We saw during last year's final series what he's capable of in the big games. Sharkies fans amongst the socials love this announcement. We now have a halves pairing locked up for the foreseeable future. He and Nico can really build a strong bond and a platform going forward without contract disruptions, which will be nice to see unfold. Moving on, boom, second rower Britton Nakora, much to the delight of fans and especially Franco, has signed on for another 2 seasons, which sees him through the 2027 season. This is massive and for mine just as important as, or if not more than, Trindle's signing. The guy's been an absolute standout in our pack over the last few seasons, and I'm stoked we locked him up, and there was heaps of interest from other clubs, so that's lovely to see. Speaking of gun second rowers, Teague Wilton signed on for a further 2-year stint. This too was met with plenty of praise throughout the socials. He and Nick are fit and firing. We have plenty of strike and size on both sides of the field.
I saw Teague at the races, lads, in the off season actually, and I was had a quick chat to him and gave him a pat on the back and said,
How is he?
He's just he's a big human too. He's a nice guy.
Good stuff. That's what we like to see.
All right, on to the next.
Alrighty, big Oregon Kafusi into fresh 1-year deal that sees him remain a Shark until the end of the upcoming season. The fans really like this one. They thought he was a real workhorse in the 2024 season and are expecting him to extend further at the completion of the year when some cap space clears up for him to be able to do so.
I don't mind a 1-year deal, Chris. I don't mind a 1-year deal, Chris, for some of these players. Just extending them, having them, they're continuing to go and not being committed for too long. How do you feel about that one?
Yeah, it's kind of like the times we said before when guys are obviously playing for contracts, they kind of peak up a little bit. So I like these sort of 1-year deals where they still feel secure, but they're still got to prove something again the next season to try and bang themselves onto a couple of more years. So, yeah, I like it for Kafusi. Good signing.
Yep. All right, now this one had our host David Bolderman absolutely fangirling when the club announced that Captain Cam had signed an extension until the end of the 2026 season. This one was met with plenty of positivity across the socials. It was even brought up by a few still bitter fans on how unfair his origin axing was for that second game. So, and I tend to agree. The off-season also saw young gun fullback Liam Eisen sign on for a further 3 seasons, which sees him a Shark through to the end of the 2027 season. This also excited fans across the socials, with many calling for him to be a long-term first-choice fullback. He'll be breathing down Will's neck. We've also got Cade Dykes there. It's going to be really interesting to see that fullback spot unfold, and it's only going to bring the best out in all of them. It's a nice little conundrum to have.
We're going to touch on Will Kennedy and how much pressure he's on. That's going to be a big talking point as part of this episode. So nice setup there. He's good, Liam Eisen. Good, nifty little player. Cade Dykes as well, also not terrible.
No, very good. All right, my son's favourite player, big Tuku Hautapua has also signed a further 2-year extension, which is awesome to see. This one's got the fans buzzing across the socials. Fan had big raps on him from what they've seen so far at the top level. And finally, there are a handful of 1-year extensions for some of our next in-line crew. Niwai Puru, Billy Burns, Jaden Beryl, and Chris Vaia.
And lads, I'm delighted to
Who was the first
announce. I'm delighted to announce that the ET stand has re-signed Scott Latino, Chris Kelly, and Matthew Williams. Stephen Franklin, we're expecting him to put pen to paper shortly, but he was last seen down at Shark Park taking a survey. So hopefully, Chris, we can re-sign Stephen Franklin very, very soon to the ET stand on a multi-year, 5-year extension. He is pretty cool.
He'd be pretty cheap, wouldn't he?
Oh, well, you think so?
I don't think there's any other suitors looking to get him on, so we'll get him. Confident re-signing.
Alrighty, there's been a few departing rumours.
No.
You would have seen.
You don't have a dive.
You're going to make me put the mock on it, aren't you? No, you've seen some clickbait rumours amongst the socials that we're allegedly shopping Ronnie to the Broncos. I think it's BS, to be honest. I've heard some whispers across the socials of late that Ronnie's close to extending with us and agreeing to terms. In saying that, there seems to be a bit more of a push for the fans to make Stone Street signature more of a priority over Ronnie's. We can't lose Ronnie.
Look at that.
We can't lose Ronnie. I knew Williams 2.0 would chime in on this.
2.0 is through in the comments. The lack of Goat Street re-signing news is concerning.
Yep.
Surely they're just waiting on to what happens with Ronaldo before re-signing Sam Street. Get your comments in. Should we be re-signing Ronnie or should we pay half the amount for Sam Stone Street? Chris, an opinion?
Ronnie's weighted, worth every piece of gold in the bank. But it comes down to Boldo's favourite topic of salary cap and overpaying and underpaying. And, you got a capable replacement in Stone Street or Goat Street. But Ronnie does the job all the time, even with his false injuries that he has sometimes during matches. He springs back up and scores a quick hat-trick. So just whether someone comes knocking with a bag of cash is the only problem. But listen, I think he really loves playing down there in the Shire and could probably settle for a little bit less if they can work out the big puzzle that goes on in the salary cap.
Come on, Ronnie. Re-sign for the Sharks. I'll even let you come on the ET Stand podcast for free.
He's already on a plane to Brisbane after hearing that, mate.
Ronnie, you can skip the survey. We'll fill out the survey for you.
All right, on to the next.
All righty. Big Tom Hazelton Wood has also been linked with a move to the Newcastle Knights. This one really got fans in the socials stirred up with fans urging we lock him up prior to the season's opener in Vegas. This one I can see possibly happening. There were a few times during the year where we weren't getting as many minutes out of Tommy as I think Fitzy would have liked. You got young Jesse Colquhoun. He's waiting in the wings. And you got Big Tukes who signed on for another couple of years. So there's replacements there. But look, he may head to the Hunter, but we've seen this movie a few times before. A player kills it first, moves to Newcastle, and you know the ending.
Tell us what you really think. Okay.
Get in the boot.
Alrighty. Unfortunately, we're also met with the unfortunate announcement that Daniel Atkinson signed on with the Merge on a 3-year deal for the 2026 season onwards. This devastated fans across the socials. However, we still have him this year. You can't keep everyone on your roster, so commiserations on that signing, Dan.
Well, he was just too much bucks, wasn't he? He was going to be $500,000. Given we were paying Trindle $350,000, it's hardly like for like. I just don't think we can afford to take the risk on a bench utility for that amount of bucks. So Flanagan's clearly going to run a strategy that is going to front weight a whole bunch of contracts, and the Dragons will be good in about 2 to 3 years, I think, Chris. Touch on that later.
Alrighty, the off-season saw the club welcome new recruit and top NRL enforcer Adam Fanua-Blake to the Shire. He looks like an absolute beast donning the Sharks strip. From what I've seen in his promo shots, and has apparently been training the house down, really working on his fitness, so it's awesome to see the big man in Sharks colours. The club also welcomed utility Hohepa Puru from the Canberra Raiders in a handy little pickup for the club. He's a twin brother of Niwai Puru. He was also named at lock forward in the 2024 New South Wales Cup Team of the Year, where he led the competition on 1,021 tackles at 92.9% efficiency. and he was 5th for run meters, recording 3,383 for the season, averaging around 125 per game. So welcome aboard, boys. Sadly, over the off-season, we saw Big Royce Hunt leave the club for the Tigers and Jack Williams to the Eagles. I actually almost forgot that Jack had signed with the Eels, so I guess you could say I nearly dropped the ball on that one. No jokes. Look, we at the ET Stand podcast wish the boys all the best at their new clubs for the upcoming season and beyond, and thank you for your service to the Sharks, boys.
I think Jack Williams is really going to fit in with the Parramatta Eels, Chris.
Yeah, I think what they're going through is a little bit of a rebuild with Jason Riles at the helm. A lot of young guys and putting him in a starting spot. We've had a couple of holes and a couple of older guys in Sean Lane and the other guy escapes me because he doesn't play that much. That took the fine for himself. Big Madison. I just don't know how he's going to fit in there, but I think his big motor will go straight into it. So good signing for him. And Royce Hunt, look, spearheading that Tigers team. I hope they do well. Hopefully not at Leichhardt again this season that we've got him there. But, you know, it was good to see him get another club and probably a starting role too. So like Lat said, you can't re-sign them all. So some guys have to move on at some stage.
Yeah, during the off-season, the club unveiled the new away strip. I actually really like it. I think the colours pop. I like the blue V. I like the white base on it. There's been very mixed reviews, though, across the socials, however. And I just wanted to get CK's thoughts on this one because he's the merch king.
Yeah, I think the most thing, because I love a bit of merch, and I'm kind of waiting to see if they bring out some Vegas merch or even a strip for it. Rumours have it that we're going to be wearing this one anyway over there. The only issue with some of the jersey gurus that go through it is having the Aramex so bold in the red. You've got to try and blend it in where we've got our colours going on and a big red sponsor right in the middle. So it's a bit of clash of colours, but looks sexy as always, especially Nico's wearing it.
It's a tough one. How I feel about that jersey, Lance?
You don't like it? Look, it's better than the big giant shark on the front.
It's not my favourite.
Nice one. I like it. I think it looks fresh and clean.
It's got to admit, it's better than the early 2000s Surrender silver and white jersey that we pumped out at one stage, and Keith Galloway running out of that. Oh, that was a bit off. But yeah, you can sort of even see from those promos, like the white kind of disappears a little bit in there, and yeah, there's a few colour clashes, but it's still nice.
It looks good on the black shorts. Having it on its own, it sort of fades to the back a bit, but I don't mind it. I think it's a pretty good jersey. I think it'll look good on across the park.
Well, the thing is what I worked out. If we have a premiership winning season, no one's going to care, and they will instantly just love that jersey forever. So it doesn't matter. Just win games, guys.
No high vis jerseys, yeah.
We'll do a jersey result at the end of the season and see how we go.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I think Williams is still angry about the high vis jerseys.
I saw someone at one of the last games in the high vis jersey. I'm like, oh, there wouldn't be too many of those around. I think a lot of them got burned.
It's kind of like the Newcastle Hunter Valley one they pump out at every couple of years, and it's that orange and blue and white. And you're like, that's not your colours. Like it's a bit strange.
All right, on to the next.
Just in regards to the jersey, Boldo, you coming from a marketing perspective, I was looking through the socials the other day, and there were quite a few comments about people saying, Aramex should allow us to change the colours for it and change it. Look, they've already done that with the Heritage jersey, and you've signed on and you're known by that brand. You can't keep changing your colours to suit a team you sponsor, yeah? And you wouldn't be expected to.
Well, there's a lot in logo management, actually, lads. So a piece of advice for anyone out there designing a logo. Go and put your logo next to 50 other logos and see if it pops. And so what Aramex are trying to do by sponsoring the Sharks, they're really trying to build brand affinity and make it so that people know it. So the best sponsorships of the Sharks of all time were certainly LG and Hisense, I think, made the most sense because both of those brands being, white good tech businesses, they were trying to establish themselves in Australia at the time. And it made sense for them to just be on the front of a jersey. Pepsi was just brilliant because they were a cool brand. So Aramex are trying to do that. I think they're unmissable in the white background with the red on top. It depends what's more the visibility. Look, the visibility they get from the logos on the jerseys, it's like millions of bucks worth of just exposure in itself. But you know what they really should be doing? They should be sending free jerseys to Scott Latino and 1C Chris Kelly so that they can show off the Aramex jerseys. I've got an Aramex. Yeah, I've got an Aramex one behind me, so maybe I don't need one.
Can I just say as well, just on the jersey front, there is a push coming. It's been asked for many a number of years, and the Bulldogs CEO is running this one up the ball up the middle. Is a push for names on the back of jerseys, a la like every other sport in the world. So
I rate that.
Watch this space.
Well, they had that with the Super League, didn't they? And it didn't really
They
take
did.
off, and also the guaranteed jersey numbers. I think it does, because then you can also buy your player jersey names
Correct.
on the back. So how much does Lats love his Eddinghausen blue New South Wales?
I'd be straight out tomorrow buying a Hiroti one, mate.
Well, I don't know about that. I think if I was to, I would certainly, you know what jersey I would buy?
Cam.
It would be
Captain
number
Cam.
4.
Baliga.
It would be number 4, and it would say Talakai.
Well, hold on that.
Oh,
All right, on to the next.
alrighty.
Oh, is that it?
New
No,
sponsor.
here we go, Rio Zone.
Yeah, so the club recently announced concrete reinforcing steel company Rio Zone as lower back of jersey sponsor. Their logo looks great on the jersey. The sponsorship team at Sharks doing a stellar job as usual. So welcome aboard Rio Zone. I believe that was Matty Mack's area for the last 5 years, yes?
That sounds right.
So, yeah, it looks good there. I
There's
like
a bunch
it.
of
It looks
legends,
good with
those
the
Rio Zones.
Zamburo because they're both green and
They're like
Yeah.
legends, those Rio Zone guys, aren't they?
Yeah, big
They are.
fans.
Yep.
Yeah, they're legends. All right, yep.
all right, and finally, the Hall of Fame. Fans amongst the socials love this concept. They think it's great from the club. Plenty of people have confirmed their attendance. I'm looking forward to this one. I know you boys are also. And giddy up, how good's the Hall of Fame going to be?
We did an entire episode on the Hall of Fame, which Lats failed to submit entries on. So we'll switch to that right now and add them in. So this was the picks at the time. I am very confident that I reckon I've got it. I've definitely got 10 out of 11. I reckon I'm pretty close. And then Williams and Kelly actually named the same team, differing between Brett Kamali and Fafita with me. And then Frank, of course, he just had a completely different bunch of people. You can see those on the screen there. But for those on the audio only, my 11 was Tommy Bishop, Greg Pearce, Steve Rogers, Gavin Miller, Andrew Eddinghausen, Paul Gallen, Dane Sorensen, David Peachy, Matt Rogers, Luke Lewis. And then I ended with Brett Kamali. Lats, how did you see the Hall of Fame 11 and what changes might you have to that 11?
All right, mate. 1 to 5 still the same. I've gone Matty Rogers in at 6, so I think all you boys have Matty Rogers.
Yep.
Yep. I've got Paul Gallen, no brainer. David Peachy, Dane Sorensen. Now, I've come in at 10, number 10. I was mulling over this one for the last 24 hours, and I've left one of them out because I wanted to pay homage back to the 80s and whatnot as well. But I've gone with Andrew Fafita over Luke Lewis. Rightfully, he should have been the Clive Churchill medalist. He scored the most important try in Sharks history. Solo, with blokes hanging off him. He almost died for the club when he had that throat injury. His throat was crushed. He's always around game day. He's still like in some sort of leadership capacity at the club. You always see him around. And his final years at the club, of his playing years, he became a real leader, stand-up leader. He was, egging all the young blokes on and pushing them. And I know you blokes talked about this, Luke Lewis. I see him as a Panther. Yes, he's a Shark. He won a premiership with us, but I see him as more of a career Panther player. So I've gone with Andrew Fafita in at 10. And this last one, it was out of 4 blokes for mine. And then I went through the criteria and I thought, yeah, okay, maybe a couple of them couldn't have made it. But it was out of Danny Lee, Les Davidson, Jonathan Docking, but who I've actually landed on is Danny Staines. He was part of that. He was part of that '89 Origin team that clean swept us. Played for Australia. I'm pretty sure he played for Australia, or he travelled with the team. Yep, he did play for Australia. 135 games with the Sharks, and I remember my dad used to work for Sutherland, and they used to sponsor ET. I'd go into the sheds after the game every now and then, and he'd always give you his time. And he was absolutely busted. He'd be sitting there, shirt off in his shorts with his headgear still on, and he'd always have the time to have a chat. And I was actually watching an interview on him a few weeks ago on YouTube, and he's just an absolute legend. He was actually comparing, he thinks players back then got paid better than players today, because he said he always likens it to house prices then, house prices now, and whatnot. And he thinks he's actually very humbled by what he earned back then. And as opposed to what guys are making this day, it's peanuts. But yeah, I was just listening to his stories about Origin and stuff, and it was just incredible. So I've landed on Danny Staines for mine to round out the Hall of Fame.
He's still a very fit human being, Dan Staines. So I'm trying to get Dan Staines. Dan Staines, if you ever listen to this podcast, we're trying to get you on for an episode, actually. Someone's passed me on his details. And my understanding is that he runs a fitness business out of Brisbane and is still incredibly fit human being. I'd love to have him on and hear from him. So there is a whole episode that we did on the Hall of Fame where we talked through the criteria for how the players were picked. We go through win-loss records, number of matches, a whole bunch of stuff. I spent like hours putting this episode together, or I did like a big spreadsheet and like criterias and stuff. I think I'm close. I'm going to quote 2.0 here has come through in the comments saying no love for Jason Stevens, lads.
Chris Kelly did pay homage to Jason Stevens in his episode, in the Hall of Fame episode. I did watch that. He was the sort of next in line sort of thing if Andrew Fafita wasn't available, or Preston, or...
Well, exactly. All right, that was Latz's social media wrap-up. So thank you for that update. It's 30 minutes in there. Jeez, it did take a long time, didn't it? A couple of comments have come through. Nathan Hunt has come through in the comments saying keeping Stone Street should be our number one priority. It's hard to argue with that. And then Sporting Music God has suggested that we do the Chronicles. We should do the Panthers 2011 match. Is that the one that was in Bathurst? I think is the one that we're going to do. And then Cecil's coming through. Cecil, how are you doing? Happy New Year, legend. Happy New Year to the Sharks faithful.
Today's test.
Only a couple more sleeps. Cecil, one of the favourites from last year. All right, let's get into the... I meant to do... That's right, I've forgotten. I meant to go through the red things. All right, so we've done the social roundups. So now we're on to the trial.
What do we do again?
What do we do again?
Rusty.
Just reacquainting ourselves with how this works. All right, so the Sharks are playing the New Zealand Warriors on Friday night. No, we don't want to see the New Zealand team. We want to see the Sharks team, don't we? Now, I'm trying out a different font, guys. So if you don't like the font, let me know. And it seems to match up and it's a bit tighter. So it's the kind of one that we go with. So the Sharks have named a 28-man squad for the upcoming trial match. For those on audio only, we've got the team on the screen right here. I'll read through it, Chris. I'll save you the trouble. So at number one, we've got William Kennedy at fullback. The wingers are Sione Katoa and the soon-to-be hopefully re-signed Samuel Stonestreet. A star centre combination of Marwin Haroti and Kale Iro. And then at 5'8", we have Dan the Man Atkinson and Niwa Piru. In the front row, we have Braden Hamlin-Ueli and Thomas Hazelton-Wood, with Jaden Beryl playing at hooker. And then in the back row, we've got Sifa Talakai, Billy Burns with Oregon, Kafusi locking the scrum. And then on the bench, 14, 15, 16, 17, we have Brother Peru, Tuku Hautapua, Lachlan Crouch, and Blake Hosking. Chris, whilst I ask you what do you make of that Sharks team, I'm going to look up the other players that were named by the Sharks so we can also list those out for the benefit of people at home. What do you make of that team, Chris?
Interesting. We just touched on Boldo was going to get the number 4 jersey with Sifa Talakai, and he's playing at number 11 in this trial match. So maybe something to come. You can't unseat Harodi in that centre spot. So, listen, we all know how these trials goes. There's 28 players. It's going to pump out a few of these guys for 20, 25 minutes and sort of rotate them. I touch on it in the next segment coming up about how this is going to work over the preseason. But obviously it's just a hit out. It's like an opposed session. There's not really much into it. People sort of get excited about score lines and not score lines and things like that. But the league's actually trying to do something in regards to preseason. So Good to see the young guys in the halves there. Obviously, our other guys are having a bit of rest, bit of cotton wool. They may trudge out for the All-Stars, but given that we are going to Viva Las Vegas in a couple of weeks, it's kind of hard to sort of have guys playing too many big minutes at the moment. So, it's what you expect out of a trial. Pretty much naming the whole top 30
Whole
bar
squad.
a few guys. Yeah.
The expended bench is number 18, Chris Bailey. 19 is Kyle Pickering. Number 20 is Michael Gabriel, which will be a popular choice. People will be wanting to see him play. 21 is Brad Fernley. 22 is Taj Ford. 23 is Riley Pollard. 24 Eli Clark. 25 Christian Dixon. 26 Felix Fatilli. And 27 is Samuel McCulloch. Lats, who's under pressure and needs a good performance out of this Sharks team, you think?
Mate, it's all eyes to Will Kennedy. Whether he plays the whole game or not, I'm not too sure. But, he's got a couple of young guns breathing down his neck. We know Ken play at that level. I just really think he's going to have to really hit the ground running. And we did see growth from him last season. He was better under the ball. He was better in defence. But it's just he's going to have some blokes breathing down his neck, and Fitzy's going to have a real headache in that area on what to do there. I think Tommy Hazelden under a little bit of pressure to see how he goes with his fitness. Also, this contractual talk around Newcastle and whatnot. And Tapua, I think you'll see Tapua have a big game. He's really going to want to cement a spot in that first grade team. He missed out a lot last year where I thought we could have used him. And I think, it's obviously going to be the big guns that are under the pressure.
Well, certainly, Nulla Boys come through in the comments saying Kennedy most under pressure, but I think he'll have a great year. There's just so much pressure on Kennedy, isn't there? No, Chris, you don't agree with that at all.
No, I don't know. Hands off my wheel. I don't know why everyone keeps understanding he's not going to get through there. He's a stable part of the team. He's one of the anchor players in our squad. So I don't think he's under that much pressure.
Fair enough. All right, a couple of comments have come through here. Matthew Williams has responded, 2011 isn't Bathurst. That was 2014. But we won by a lot. And Albert Kelly apparently carving up. Jeez, he just knows his stuff, Matty Williams. So for those new to the show, Matty Williams is one of our
it's easy. It's easy from the couch.
Well, it's easy when you got access to Google too, isn't it, Matty? The one thing I know Matthew did not have to Google was that he is still angry about the high-vis jerseys versus Manly. And then 2.0 has come through in the comments saying Will Kennedy in the gym by himself the other morning at 6:30, putting in the hard yards. That's what I would expect. Now, Cecil's come through in the comments asking a question about Blake Hosking. So he is the lock that played some time with the Jets, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I don't claim to be the expert on the lower grades players. Boys, do either of you know much about Hosking, or should we?
Yeah, he's
that one go for Friday night.
No, he's a good little lock. He actually took out Newtown's most consistent player for the 2024 season last year.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, we've got some competition in that second row and that back row there. So we're just bolstering stocks and give these kids a run. You never know when they're going to need to step up, have a little run of injuries or anything, and it's good to blood them in these trials.
Chris, anyone you're really looking forward to seeing play this one?
It'd be interesting to watch the young guys in the halves as usual to see how they operate. But it's usual, like sort of Lats touched on, you're watching young guys pushing for a spot. The most exciting thing in trials is you get that smell of footies back in the air. It's a bit exciting. You start to remember, oh, that's right, that's what we're watching again. And you usually get a player like a Dane Nielsen coming out and having a blinder and the coach doesn't pick him, or drops him. It's the most exciting thing about trials. You get to watch a couple of guys you're not too sure about. They put a good performance forward and you just cross your fingers there's no injuries out of that. I agree with Lats. I think Tommy will probably step up and hopefully his fitness, you see the difference. But yeah, it's something you watch in the trials is guys trying to cement a bit of a stamp on the game. And you think, oh, they could be a good chance of playing first grade this season and putting pressure on the squad. And as usual, we just like to know we have a bit of depth there, which we do. So excited to see how it goes.
Yeah, the depth test is certainly something that is the eye-opener. I remember seeing Dane Nielsen trial for us, though, Chris, and you watched this one with us. And we were so impressed with him. Never played a game for us. Nulla Boy in the comments has come through saying, looking forward to seeing McCulloch play Gal 2.0. That's a fair wrap. All right, Nulla boy, we're going to keep an eye on McCulloch. Anyone in the show who wants to provide any advice on who you think will do well from the junior players that we may not have seen, get those in the comments. And I agree with this comment from 2.0. Hopefully Ueli is in for a big year because use that impact off the bench now that Royce is gone. I agree with that. I think if it's Hamlin Ueli, his career's at a bit of crossroads. He certainly needs a bit of a resurgence to come back into that team because he's certainly lost his place. So fingers crossed we can see the best of him. In terms of the Warriors team, is anyone going to put their hand up to read through that Warriors team, or am I going to try and do it? Chris, why don't you do it?
Oh, no worries. So for some reason, the Warriors are trotting out a bit of a team. This must be their hit out for the season. So then we've got Charles Nickel-Costa at fullback, DWZ on the wing, Ali Lauatiti, and it's not the one we used to remember back from the early 2000s.
But it is a relation.
But it is a relation. Adam Pompey at 4, Roger Tuivasa, Sheck the Dodger at 5, Tierra Martin, Luke Metcalf that we all love, Big James Fisher-Harris, Wade Eagle, Mitch Barnett, Jacob Laban, Kurt Capewell, and Aaron Clark across from the Titans this season. So interesting to see how he goes in that squad. Vayamega, Nikuru, Graham Tafua, and Kelly, and coach Andrew Webster. Interesting enough that for the Warriors, it's sad to see their retiring favourite son go out at the end of this season. In Boldo, do you know who retired for the Warriors this year?
What, at the end of last year?
No, this season, the off-season. Melbourne Storm favourite. Tohu Harris. So Tohu Harris has announced his retirement at the start of the pre-season. So just battling on with injuries there. So he's had enough of rugby league and hung up his boots. And a bit of a team they're sending out there. So maybe again, we don't know how their schedule runs. Obviously, the Warriors are travelling with us to Vegas as well. So according to our plans, we're going to LA for a bit of a training session to acclimatise, and then off to Vegas to go into the round one. So maybe this is their one big hit out, but we'll see how it goes.
Cecil's come through in the comments. Looking forward to seeing Dallin Weteli-Zelezniak. Zelezniak is how you say it.
Yes.
Up against Stone Street will be a great matchup. Look, Ash from Waz Up TV. Shout out to you, Ash, and the Waz Up TV team. Sent me through some notes. So we'll go through his comments on the Warriors team. He's a little bit surprised that they named as many first graders, but basically it's almost a full strength group with Luke Metcalf getting first crack at the 7 jumper. And he did call out, you will have seen a lot of those names before, including Ali Lauatiti in the centres. The one that he called out was Jacob Laban is a part of the junior forwards coming through, big, strong bodied. So keep an eye out for Jacob is the one in terms of a future starter week in, week out. Then there's another guy, Val Marga is probably the leader of those young group of young forwards. He seems to be ready for first grade right now. Apparently he's got some really good YouTube clips. And then they've also got on the extended bench, they've got Jet Cleary, who's obviously the younger brother of Nathan. So I can't say I've watched a huge amount of Jet Cleary, but interested to see how that goes. And then they've got Arma Tuanai as a winger that they got from Penrith. And then they've got Sam Healy on their extended bench as well. So they're going to be pretty difficult to deal with, the Warriors. And when we played them last season, we were not in a good spot in their hooker Wade Egan got injured. They're putting down a strong team against us. I'm not feeling, if we were tipping a win or not, I'm not feeling it. But as we established last year, is the other thing we've worked out a year on. So last year, I gave Matty Williams the brief of, what can you tell us about trial form and what does it mean? And he spent a couple of hours working on this, and his conclusion was absolutely nothing. So sometimes we have good seasons with losses, sometimes we have bad seasons with losses. The trial form really doesn't mean much. But I think you don't want to get beaten 60-0 is one thing I do know, I would say, out of this one. So it is at Shark Park on, Friday night, kickoff at... Can someone tell me the kickoff time?
8, I think it was.
7:30 p.m. And
7:30.
if you're a Sharks member for 2025, you get a free ticket, or I think the tickets are $10. Yeah, so do get down. I think I'm pretty sure I'm going to go down to that match.
I think adult tickets were 15, kids were 10.
I'll just tell them Boldo said it was $10 at the gate. And I'll give you a
They'll
discount.
charge me
Right?
30, mate.
Go and fill the EC stand and see what it's like sitting in the EC stand. Go and fill it up and sit close.
Bay 20, Bay
Fine.
20, row C, seat 1. There's David Bolderman's seat in the ET stand. Don't you go taking that damn seat. I don't know why I said that on the thing.
We're going to get pelted with eggs now, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, when anyone goes to the match, come down and say good day. All right, that was the trial preview. Anything else from you, lads? Lats prediction? We need
Yeah,
one?
mate. Just going. This is the first time I've seen this Warriors outfit, and I was going to ask you if Sam Healy was playing. That is a strong team. I'm kind of glad. It's a bit bittersweet because I'd love to see AFB run out and have a crack, but he would be targeted heavily.
Indeed.
Yeah, I think the Warriors might get us on this one. It's they're just strong right across. That's a full strength first grade side there, almost.
Chris, last eight.
Just one Lass's favourite number 12, Kurt Capewell, is going to be popping around everywhere, so we'll see how he goes.
I just don't know what to say with you guys sometimes. All right, well, that was the preview for the trial match. I get down to Shark Park or Sharks Stadium on Friday night, 7:30 p.m. kickoff. And there's also the following match the next day. You can also get down at Shark Park if you want to see some more footy and see the Penrith Panthers playing against the Canberra Raiders. Both of those teams are named very weak lineups, so there's not much reason to get out and see those, I don't think. Sorry, guys.
Do we get the game receipts at least? Get down there and give us some money.
That's right. All right, well, next up, so this is the next segment in the show, the League Roundup. So if, like me, you have not watched any rugby league for the past 6 weeks or 8 weeks paying attention to anything, then this is the segment for you. Because in this segment, Christopher Kelly is going to give you the rundown on everything you need to know for as we go into the off-season. And there he is, Chris Kelly's little updates. And I'll just call out that photo in the right-hand side is a photo that was taken with Chris McKenna at 5 a.m. after the Sharks 2016 Grand Final performance. And he was an absolute legend in that interaction with us. And we were rather tired, let's just say. And he was an absolute sport and legend. And he remembered the Statue of Liberty play when we talked to him. But geez, he's a tall rooster, isn't he, Chris?
Yeah, big guy. The best part was us trying to take a selfie and realise we all had our phones out in the excitement at the same time. So it's the best photo we got. But yeah, it was a great top off to the end of our favourite night of our lives, is walking down the street and Chris McKenna just gets out of the cab like an angel and walks in front of us. It was the best.
We always love McKenna. We're like, if we'd have picked one Sharks player to just come out at 5 a.m., we're like, yeah.
That was meant to happen. You just had this aura around him.
That's right. And as Chris said, that was the favourite night of our lifetime, not to be mistaken with weddings or the birth of any children. Sorry, Marley. All right, Chris, take us through the off-season roundup, mate.
Yeah, so obviously there's a lot of new faces going around in the league. Dad's Army's firing up again down with Flano down here in Wollongong, with Clint Gutherson, Val Holmes and Damien Cook trotting out for the Dragons this season. It will be a bit strange to see those guys out there. But let's see if it's Red V's not part of me. But let's see how they go this season. I'm a bit sceptical, but we'll see how it goes. People have to get used to players changing clubs these days and all around the league. So some new faces, a bit strange, but we'll see. Obviously, Flano's named them all as captains as well. So he's put his faith in the older guys this season.
17 captains.
17 captains. How do you feel looking at that graphic, Lats?
Sorry, mate?
How do you feel looking at that graphic of those guys in those jerseys? It's very
it's
different.
Disgusting. The sick bag over here, mate. I can't believe it. They're just a big team of solo players, mate. I can't see them doing anything.
I think
as long as Flano Jr.'s there, I can't see them going
Flano's
too far.
got a lot of faith with Flano down there.
I do have a lot of faith
in Flano. But
what I think you'll find is going to happen is they're going to front end a bunch of contract here for Gutherson and Cook and a few of these other guys. And they'll next season, when they get Atkinson, and the season after, they're going to be good. So I'm going to say 2027 season, Dragons will be in a prelim. And there's going to be a massive category 2 here called from me. I reckon they're going to come good eventually. But in the meantime, they suck. And yeah, sorry, Dragons, not that interested in you or your stupid Red V and your Wollongong St. Merge as we move on to the next.
Some more new faces around the league is obviously AFB with us, Ben Hunt, and some Tigers revival going through with a lot of players going over to the West Tigers. Like we spoke on, Royce Hunt, Boldo's favourite Jerome Luai, and a few other guys trotting out over there. So we'll see how they go. I think they've named about 5 captains as well, but quite a new lot going down in West, or Tiger Town was what they would call themselves these days. So Boldo's favourite, obviously leading the lead, is Jerome Luai over there at the West Tigers. Their big signing. He's had a bit of a calf injury last week that they got sent for scans, and they had a bit of a shock through camp. Obviously banking a lot of them, but doing some good work out there in the community and hanging around signing autographs for a lot of kids, and young Tigers fans are quite pumped to see how he goes.
Hot tip, Tigers top 8.
I think
Jerome Luai is he's the most winning player, Chris.
I'm going to go with a massive improvement and skyrocket to 10th and 9th and have a bit of a teeter off in certain things. I think they remind us of when the Dogs retooled about 2 seasons ago and just hadn't got over the hump. I think that's where they sit.
They're going to be much better. They're going to be much better, but they'll start the 9th dynasty again.
That's where they belong.
Remember, Panthers became good as soon as Jerome Luai turned up. New South Wales got a lot better once he turned up. Jerome Luai, of all current players who's played 100 games, he has the highest winning percentage of all rugby league players, more than Nathan Cleary. He will instantly make the Tigers better.
He's the glue that held him together when Cleary was injured.
I reckon.
I think he's up there as almost just as good as Cleary. Cleary's just more clutch.
Yeah, we'll see. I think it's going to be a closer competition, actually, this season. We won't have as many of the weak teams, but the Eels are definitely going to finish last. And Nullaboy's calling me delusional. Maybe you are right, Nullaboy.
We know that anyway.
We've got the receipts. On to the next.
So here we are. So this is the pre-season challenge. So there are quite a bit of rules to this. I'm sure Vossi will drown it out throughout the pre-season challenge. The prize is $100,000 for the club. They're trying to revitalise something in the pre-season, which we've seen the NBA do in a mid-season cup. We obviously see it with Champions Leagues and alike in the FA Cup in other sports. So they're trying to do something here. Remember last season the Broncos won, but another club was in contention towards the back end of that, where they just needed a couple of offloads and some tackle breaks and some line breaks. So they all accumulate points over the pre-season challenge. So we'll see how we go. Obviously, our match is counted the first ones and goes from there. So, like I said, if you want to follow along, I'm sure on the Fox League coverage, they'll give us a little update as the games play out. So it's kind of like a bit of a super coach sort of play on how it is with points scored, points differential, like I said, line breaks, tackle breaks, offloads, and all those things. So see how it goes. See what club wants to take it seriously, get a bit of cash in the coffers.
Well, remember, the Sharks needed one offload to qualify for that extra point, and they didn't do it.
Yeah.
They would have won the
They
money.
didn't do it, yeah.
Please, God, Sharks, just
like I said, you'll have Vossi yelling at the TV, going, "Someone go out there and tell them they need 6 more offloads." Like, well, that's not the point of the game, but we'll see.
No. Yep. Okay. Next. Hey, there are the rules.
This is the rules of the NRL Witzer preseason challenge kicks off. So it's like I said, it's $100,000. Yeah. So the rule, obviously, you can play 28 players. It's unlimited interchange, and like I said, someone will be sitting there. Some statistician will be sitting there keeping score of all the stats that are going on and tally it up and work out at the end who needs what to work out what's happening. So there's obviously bonus points involved, but it's kind of like just to get some clubs really involved instead of just trotting out like we sort of do the 10 or 15 players in the first half and then swap right over to the reserve graders. So try and bring a bit of excitement to the pre-season.
So Chris put this image into the off-season roundup, and the Witzer logo was at the bottom, and they cut it off, not knowing what the hell Witzer was. I still don't know what Witzer is. What's Witzer? Does anyone know? Get it in the comments.
Who is Witzer?
Who's Witzer? Whatever they do, great work sponsoring the. All right, and there are new rules, Chris.
Rules, yeah. So there's coming around in. I hope Boldo kept on the next slide because it's revolving around the HIA rules. So the league's going to try in this pre-season challenge a sin bin for a player who fails a HIA due to foul play. So this is quite murky waters if you're going to start doing these kind of things, because you can see a player go off for a HIA for 15 minutes and the play goes on. Obviously, the player goes on report. But if he fails said HIA, he can be sin bin after that. So who's going to notify this?
What do you mean sin bin retroactively? Are you sure that's
retroactively? Right? Yeah, that's what it is. So if he fails HIA, then you will be sin bin in regards to that offence. So they're going to trial it in the preseason challenge. Yeah. Thoughts,
so what you're saying, so as long as you head high someone within the last 15 minutes of the game, because they've got 15 minutes to, you're going to be safe.
Yeah. You're probably facing suspension. Obviously, this is the most famous sin binning that happened at Shark Park ever, was Cam Smith going off. And we can see a Williams in that picture and yelling abuse at Cam Smith. It is a Williams.
So you're sure it's not just if they get removed for an assessment? Or do they have to
fail said HIA?
I don't know if that's right.
So they're trying to clear up where you're sort of, I got hit in the head, I'm going to go for a HIA, and the ref just goes, see you, mate, you hit him in the head for 10 minutes. How serious it is. Because the problem we found ourselves in last season was fans were filthy over the years that a player would cause foul play and you'd lose that player due to HIA, and then he gets a 3-week suspension. And they were saying, well, where's the advantage for us during that game? So the league brought in the sin bins to try and fix that. Now we've gone over the top with sin bins. There's just sin bins left, right, and centre. Like you're averaging 2 to 3 a game. It's just ridiculous, and I need to reduce it. So they're going to try and reduce it to more serious offences instead of just you got him around the head, go for 10.
So this is going to be the new disruptor rule, is it? Where they just target one thing and...
Yeah. Other than that was the only rule change that came out of this season.
Yeah, right. Then they're just going to overpolice
someone can
the
Google
absolute,
and check that out for us.
It was on the... I did put it there.
Yeah, I think it might be that if they get sent off for the assessment. So if they get sent for an assessment, they're sin bin.
Yeah.
I reckon is what it might be. Okay, so regardless, I think there's a good move if they sent the person for an assessment. Then I think an automatic sin bin is a good idea, because if they have been hit that badly and they need to be assessed, then the person should be sin bin. And those ones where you had it where this guy's been sent off for HIA and he's sin bin, and the next week the person's not. I think it's an easier, consistent rule, and that God word consistency. I think it might be better. So let's trial it and see what happens, and go from there. I'm sure the Melbourne Storm will come up with a trick to get around the rule, Chris. All right, on to the next.
So in regards to that, a new flex position is here as part of Supercoach for all you Supercoach players. You can now select 18 players. Your 18th man can be selected in any position, and he pretty much becomes the golden guy. So if you like Boldo, you're in a fantasy grand final, you forget the grand finals kicked off and your player gets a 0, it's not going to matter because your top 17 goes into the mix. So, you can select it from any position as long as there's an 18th man there. It doesn't matter, and it'll come into effect if a player, say like I did, Sam Walker does an ACL, or Boldo's kicker gets 0, that at least your player gets flexed in there. So I'm not too sure how it goes with the loop situation, if everyone's quite familiar with Supercoach and looping your captain and your vice captain, but it'd be a bit of testing. But everyone's been calling for this to have your flex, or as Boldo likes to say, your super flex. So we'll see how we go.
All right. Blake Williams has come through in comments and said that he's actually in that photo.
It's literally there. You can see him right there.
Oh, yeah, there he is too.
Yeah, I did say there was a Williams in there.
Yeah, there he is.
Point a finger, Blake.
Boldo, while you've got this up, mate, I've just jumped onto the NRL. I've got the rule trial here. It says the trial will be implemented during the preseason only, and will see players responsible for illegal high tackles sin bin for 10 minutes if the tackle results in the opposing player being removed from the field as a Category 1 HIA or fails the Category 2 HIA assessment, regardless of whether the play has subsequently resumed after the incident.
So we were both right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
that means if they...
Yeah.
Wow. So if they go off
if you get a head knock and you play on and the doctor watches the footage for the next 5 minutes and they go beep, 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 You know, you're going to go off for a HIA.
And this
then it'll be
person's got to go off.
Cam Smith, come here. You hit him back there 10 minutes ago. Off you go.
Yeah, wow.
It's going to stop big men targeting like halves and marquee players and that sort of thing. But yeah, I think it's still over policed. It's a drastic measure.
10 minutes is massive in a game at the moment. You could easily score 3 tries in 10 minutes. Like, it's crazy.
Should they do ice hockey rules then, Chris? Where
yes,
if they score, then
I've always called for the power
2-minute
play.
penalties.
No, go for the power play. If they score, guy comes back on. You've had your advantage. Time to come back on.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. All right, let's keep going. Vegas.
And obviously the countdown is on to the most exciting round of the season, and that's round 1 or round 0, if you want to call it, when our Cronulla Sharks take on the reigning 3-time premiers, the Panthers, in Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas. Like Boldo has mentioned, we are going to attend this. So, well, did he make the announcement?
Well, not yet, because we're booking the tickets after. The plan is for you and me to book the tickets after tonight's podcast. So
there we go. So
that's the plan, is to
get excited. Get excited, fans. You get to watch it at a friendly time in Australia, and I'm sure we'll just be normal and fine for a debrief, maybe Boldo after the game in Vegas. Surely.
Yeah, I think Franco Williams, who sadly can't be joining us, will be doing the debrief, but we'll certainly get a dial in. For those of you who want to follow us along on Instagram, you will get to see Chris and me going to Las Vegas and pressuring one S Latino to come along with us. Let's get Lats to Vegas. There's just
hashtag get Lats to Vegas.
Hashtag get Lats to Vegas. So yeah, get along. The Instagram channel is on our YouTube channel bio. I think it's just ET Stand Podcast, isn't it? But yeah, that's where we post videos and photos of us just at the games. So do follow us on that channel if you want to see us get involved in Las Vegas. All right, that is the Around the League roundup. How good? All right.
God help Instagram.
God help Instagram, indeed. All right. Well, look, it wouldn't be our show if we didn't quickly just touch on the Super Bowl. Lats is wearing his Washington Commanders jersey because his team got knocked out. So I'll quickly touch on the Super Bowl. For non-NFL fans, Chris, what's to look out for in this match? Quick summarize.
Quick summarise is obviously if you like Taylor Swift, you can go for the Kansas City Chiefs, or Chiefs as they are. If you like the Kelsey brothers, you can go for that. We did see the Super Bowl 2 seasons ago, which was a classic match as usual. I'm hoping Boldo goes for the Eagles because that was a team that he donned a few seasons ago. And I'll just put the pressure on that he's an Eagles fan now. And I'm not too sure about Lats. Probably doesn't care either way at this stage. So,
I'll go for the Eagles just for the Mylata Australia link.
Yeah, the Australian League.
I'm just sick of seeing Taylor Swift in the box every time Travis Kelce touches them.
So, yeah, that's fair. For people out there that it might be new to watching NFL, they've got a similar problem that the rugby league has, that the top teams seem to get the calls. And so the last week or two's matches, the Kansas City Chiefs have just seem to be getting a couple of calls and a couple of things going in there. Yeah, well, so you can judge by the reaction. So it's interesting that they have the same problem that the NRL has, is that the top teams just seem to get this bias for them. They'll be a little bit more on point than they were the last few weeks. And they do handle it better than the NRL with replays, but there's still a bit of funny stuff going on. So the Kansas City Chiefs are going for a three-peat, which has never been done in the NFL before. They've got the star quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, who's the top NFL player right now and the second best NFL player ever. But watch out for the running back for the Philadelphia Eagles, number 26, Saquon Barkley. So it'll be very close. It'll come down to one play at the end. Mahomes will probably get it at the last minute, which will be...
Speaking of one play at the end, one play in the end, you talk about it. It happened in the overtime last season, and 2 years ago when they played the Eagles, there was obviously a flag thrown towards the Chiefs' advantage towards the end, which was a penalty, but in big situations, you probably could have let the guys play on and see how it went. If only Nick Foles again was playing for the Eagles, but I'd be quite confident going for the Eagles. But like Lat said, Jordan Mailata lining up for the Eagles in the offensive line, protects the quarterback. So everyone gets on it. It's on Monday, 10:30 a.m. kickoff. So get behind it. It's a massive day, and I love it.
Boldo, Saquon's going to have a monster game. I think the Eagles have him covered right across the park. I think they had their losses when they needed to have their losses. They've hit the ground running. Mahomes, the Chiefs, they just seem to get it done. I don't know how this year. They haven't won too many very convincing games, and I think the refs have a lot to do with that, and I think the Eagles win it. But, you watch Saquon, he's going to go beast.
Other than that, the other narrative from it is the Eagles players all fight with each other. So they like hate each other, those guys. And so it's just remarkable that city of Philadelphia, that is the home of ECW wrestling, can just produce people that seem to get on it. And so what have they got, that Big Don or whatever that
Big Don was their security guard. Their coach was fighting with fans mid-season. The wide receiver was fighting with the quarterback. He was reading a book on the sideline the last couple of weeks. But, Saquon's been a beast, and we just hope – it's very, for league fans, it's very, the Chiefs are the Panthers and the Eagles are probably the Storm or the Broncos. And it's just, we're hoping, it's a lot of fans in the league. There's 32 teams and 30 other fan bases really don't care for this game because it's just the same sort of program we've seen before and we're just sick of it. We were hoping for a Bills Mafia and a Commanders matchup just to change it up a little bit, which would have been epic. It would have been great, but we obviously just got the repeat. So we'll see if it changes fortunes this time.
Just
all right,
prediction,
so
Chris.
Last tip.
I just hit Chris with. Yep, I just want to hit Chris with a prediction. Does Kendrick diss Drake at halftime?
No, I think it's too professional for that.
I don't think he gets paid if he does it, does he?
No, they don't let those things slide on the halftime show. So everyone, Kendrick Lamar's the halftime entertainment, which Boldo's a big fan of. So we'll see how it goes.
Huge.
It's not there with Josh Finau.
I don't even know who Kendrick Lamar is.
Yeah, he's with Finau.
Who's Kendrick Lamar? Are they related to Lamar Jackson?
Finau 2.0.
Finau 2.0.
I
think. Yeah, all right. So what's your tip, Chris?
Look, heart says Eagles, head says Chiefs. I think it'll just be a close game and it'll come down to those couple of calls. Like Lass said, I think the Eagles got enough to run over the top of the Chiefs, but the Chiefs' rushing defense is quite scary. And the Chiefs have just been squeaking out games all season, but they just find those little plays, those little ways to win. So
that comes down to experience, I think, from Mahomes in the big game. That experience in those big games.
Hopefully, just my Jeff slips come through and I'm drunk by 3 p.m. That's about it.
That's your pick.
Eagles, mate. Eagles, and I think they'll do it comfortably. Saquon for a double. Jalen Hurts, he'll run one over.
Tush push.
A good franchise, the Eagles. Margaret, the Eagles are going to win. You're not winning, Chiefs. All right, other than that, anything else we want to cover off? I know the one last thing I want to talk about before we wrap up this show. Anything else from you, Chris?
No, I think we banged on long enough, mate.
Fair enough. That's
No, I'm all good, mate. I think we've covered everything.
Fair enough. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for coming along. I didn't change all of my jerseys over tonight from display wear because I thought I'd keep one or two of my Nottingham Forest jerseys up because I'm having a pretty good time as a Nottingham Forest Premier League fan at the moment. If you want to support a Premier League team, you don't have one, Nottingham Forest are the fairy tale team, and you can get involved there. Mr. Dave has come through in the comments saying, "Fly, Eagles, fly," and has made a whole bunch of other amusing comments, even calling out that I'm showing the doctor's certificates. I don't even know what that means, Mr. Dave. Showing the doctor's certificates, I've heard. What does he mean there?
Is that Dave Anthony?
I don't know.
You can get your certificate downloaded from ESPN for Chakasiki is the thing they go.
Okay, that is what Chakasiki is. All right, perfect. All right, well, gang, this was the ET Stand for a Tuesday night. We will be live every Tuesday from 8:30 p.m. with a panel of legends like these two. We're minus Matthew Williams and Stephen Franklin. This week we will be live, all five of us in person for the ET Stand on the night of the Hall of Fame. That is going to be a big one that will go for 3 hours. We'll be there next week, Tuesday, 8:30 again. And we will also be live with Franco on a debrief post full time. If you do get down to the game and you're in the ET Stand, you do see me, do come along and say good day. Always love chatting to anyone who is a Sharks fan and anyone who might even claim to be a Sharks fan. This was the ET Stand podcast. We will see you guys next time. Up, Cronulla.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated. More often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.